What's up, guys? I'm going to be going over today's trade recap. Sorry, I didn't even realize that I was recording. How I made $316. P&L is right here. I took two trades, one loss, and one huge W. And so you're like, wait, the market is open on Sundays? Yes, it is, little Timmy. So I was hoping that we would have like a new week opening gap, but we didn't. We got like a huge displacement. And initially we got a bullish SMT. ES takes out the low. So we have that bullish SMT. However, we have a 1 hour gap that was unfilled, right? And it gets tapped in. And so originally I was looking for shorts, but at the time I was really looking at this 15 minute and I was thinking maybe we get a resweep of this high, we respect, and then we go lower. And so you look on this 5 minute, we're clearly holding this gap. If you mark out the fib tool, we're respecting equilibrium. Now I was trying to look for an entry right here off of this V shape and stuff like this, but um, I was really waiting for like, we get a we leave these relatively equal lows right here. I believe they do get swept on ES, yeah, right here. So we have an internal bullish SMT on the 1 minute. I know 1 minute SMTs are not the best. Um, so maybe that's why this trade failed. I mean, yeah, like ultimately higher time frame just has way more power. So, um, so yeah, I mean, obviously we're chopping around, and I want to see an imbalance. I want to see a respect off of this huge like, V shape, and I want to see a respect into this 1 minute and 2 minute gap before I enter and take a trade. And I believe like right here, it closes above and I get entered. Let's see. And then let's see. Yeah, there was no 2 minute or anything. And so I'm like, surely I'm not targeting anything crazy, right? I'm just targeting this low, if anything, maybe this high, right? Um, and instantly, instantly stopped out. And I'm like, damn, that really hurt. However, now I wish that I didn't use as much contracts. I only lost like $200 or so, so I was risking 1% of my account, which is completely fine. But I was like, damn. But now that confirms, to me personally, that confirms that we're probably going to go lower. That we are probably going to distribute really low because we just inverted a 5 minute gap. We're clearly respecting um, we're clearly respecting this high. Like this high is clearly very high resistance. We're trying to break above into a 1 hour and create a new high, which is really unlikely. And we're just also trading in this 15-minute gap, right? And so as soon as that move goes down, we get a 5 minute inverse. So you'll see we get a 5 minute inverse. Um, and so immediately at this moment, I had a fib tool because I didn't know whether I wanted to go bullish or bearish, right? So I had my anchor set right here, clearly gets tapped in. Um, sorry. And so I have it like right here. And so I if we are going to go higher, we are either going to invert and go up, and maybe we just wanted to resweep that low, fill out that imbalance really good, or we respect equilibrium, tap into OTE potentially, and then invert downwards. And so we're respecting, and then boom, we get a nice inversion fair value gap. I believe this anchor is not correct, but you guys get the point. It hit into OTE at this high right here, hit into OTE, boom, distributed lower, and then rallied back to the equilibrium of the Fibonacci tool and is respecting equilibrium. It is respecting the 5 minute PD array that we just inverted. So that's a key zone. And then it's also respecting these lower time frame bearish gaps. And if you just look at the 15 minute, clearly we want to go lower. And I believe at this time, yeah, a new 1 minute is formed. So this is going to be, or a 1 hour, sorry. So this is going to be a 1 hour order block. And and the reason why I was leaning more bearish, and I wish that I would have just stuck to my guns and not went long for the hopes that we would just rally, I mean, I think that was me just hoping because, all-time highs and stuff like that and whatnot. But clearly, we have these stacked lows, equal lows, essentially. We have this low, and this low. And so that is the clearest thing. That's the clearest sign. And so obviously, at this moment, I entered off of this inversion because I'm like, okay, respecting this 5 minute inverse area zone that we just, inverted. And then we're also respecting these lower time frames. And then we're also respecting the equilibrium of this range. Therefore, I'm going to enter off of the first inversion that I see. And so I get filled, and boom, we get huge displacement. I go break even at this swing low right here that was created in the thing. And so I really wanted to add another contract right here, but I was like, I do have a lot of conviction that it will reach to these lows, reach to this low. However, I'm a risk manager, not a trader, okay? I'm not the market makers. At any point, the market could just swing to my stop loss or swing to my break even or just, completely invalidate the trade. And so, yeah, I'm already at break even here, but like if I were to purchase a contract, it probably would average my thing to like right here. So it is what it is. But like if you are, and this will take time, in your day trading career and even mine as well to have conviction in adding contracts when your draw on liquidity is so, um, just it's like so magnetized, if that makes sense. So I wanted to add another contract and then just like it completely just flushes. Um, yeah, flushes to I had take profit one right here and then I had take profit two right here. So this one wasn't, this was just other draws on liquidity. Um, so yeah, huge, huge win to start out the week. Um, Learned from my mistake. Looking back, like yeah, I shouldn't have longed when clearly higher time frames screaming bullet or bearish, and then you also just have like such stacked session liquidity where orders are just resting. Um, and yeah, like it wasn't the best. I don't know. Um, yeah, it just wasn't like the cleanest. I mean, I wasn't targeting that crazy of a high, but looking back, it's just such a protected high that like it just, it doesn't even matter. Um, so yeah, hopefully you guys learned from this. I'm really happy that, I'm putting these pieces together and just catching these really big moves, and still keeping a pretty high win rate. I'm also glad that I switched my bias and wasn't, eyeing down longs during this trend and this move. I flipped my bias. I had to admit that I was wrong, and I was like, okay, we're gonna go short because clearly DOL is king. Um, yeah, clearly we just want to go lower. And honestly, quite frankly, I think that this bull market that we're in will probably come to an end near like midterms, and maybe it might be getting factored in right now. You never know. Because, I mean, the only way for Trump to even get approval is if the economy is well. It's obviously trash. Inflation's at the highest rate. Fed will not be cutting rates anytime soon. If anything, they'll just be hiking rates. So, yeah. Um, but yeah, that was the trade recap. I'm not going to go too much into macroeconomic news or anything. But that's just something to take into consideration at all times, especially, during this week. There's not really going to be much news, economic news. So, the market is probably going to be playing, the China US, excuse me, the China US meeting this week on NQ. So, but yeah, that was the trade recap. Hopefully, you guys learned, and hopefully, you guys maybe won on Sunday. It was nice. So, love y'all. God bless.